I joined ASP as soon as I got to Colorado State University because it was required, because all the students who work there were required to be members of ASP. And major professors nowadays, they are afraid to tell their students what they have to do and don't have to do. But with Wilfred Olson, who was the chairman, he was the head of the Department of Zoology at CSU, and if you were going to be working in parasitology, you were going to be a member of ASP or you were going to leave the lab. It was that simple. And so all of my students all had to be members of ASP, and they had to present papers and they had to come to meetings. And that doesn't happen a lot anymore. I mean, it's mostly done on a voluntary basis as opposed to being imposed by a dictatorial major professor. Benevolent dictator. When I first became the program officer, it was clear to me, and I talked to Gilbert Castro. Gilbert and I became really good friends when I was in his laboratory in Houston. And besides all the yelling and screaming and telling me what to do, he said, you know what, God damn it, Donald, make those meetings fun. That's what you have to do to make ASP a success. So the first year that I was program officer, I introduced the graduate student workshop, I think. And so my goal was to involve students in every possible way that we could. So one was to enfranchise them as participants, to get a voting member, to get one to become a voting member of council. That took years. To give student awards, to let them have their own symposium or workshop, which is a graduate student workshop. And later, several years later, I'd gone to a mammal meeting, and they had a little trivial auction, and I thought, you know what, this might work at ASP. So I think the first auction we did was in Michigan. I may be wrong, but I think it was in East Lansing. And people laughed at me, and they came up and said, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This will never work. This will never work. Well, the auction now has generated over $100,000 for student travel, and it's one of the social highlights of the meeting, and everybody's a winner. And so if our students can come to a meeting and pay $25 or $30 a night for a room in a first-class city, and stay at a first-class hotel, and get their airfare paid because they submitted a very good abstract that was juried, and maybe win an award, and have their own intellectual property in their symposium, and have a free reception after that, how is it not good to be an ASP student? You know, those are all the things that we try to do. And so I work with other groups now, with other academic groups, and there's no other group that treats its students as well as we do. None. Winter quarter, my senior year, I only needed one more biology course to graduate. And I had every course that the department offered except one, parasitology. And I said, there's no way, I'm not going to take parasitology. I don't want to take parasitology, I don't want to do anything like that, that's disgusting. But it was either take it or don't get a major, second major. So I went into parasitology kicking and screaming, dragged in by the system. And the guy who taught it was a guy named Robert Callentine. And Callentine had been one of Martin Ulmer's students at Iowa State University. And there was just something, there was a click, a switch that went off. And I really liked it, and I would stay late in the laboratories. We did all live animals at that time. You know, we hadn't let lawyers live yet, or at least enough of them. So we were able to not have to do animal protocols in the early 1960s. And so we could go out and kill animals and bring them in the lab and so on. Dead cats in the street, bring them in the lab. And I really liked that part. And so Bob Callentine came up to me one day, about halfway through the semester, through the quarter, and he said, Duszynski, where are you going to graduate school? And I said, oh, Dr. Callentine, I'm not smart enough to go to graduate school. I'm not going to go to graduate school. I've never even thought about that. It wasn't even, I had no concept what graduate school was or did. And I said, I'm going to go back to Illinois and be a high school football coach. And he said, Duszynski, you're not paying attention. What graduate school are you going to? He said, you're going to graduate school. Now, go get Peterson's guide, find some schools that you like that have parasitology, and then come back and talk to me. Yes, Dr. Callentine. And so, long story short, I picked out a half a dozen schools or more. He helped with my application materials. He had to write a letter of intent, so I wrote a letter, handed it to him, and he used the first sentence and the last sentence, and he wrote the middle part, rewrote the middle part. And fortunately or not, I got two teaching assistantship offers, one at Iowa State University, where he had come from, in Martin Ulmer's lab, and one at Colorado State University with Wilfred Olson in Fort Collins. And for a little Polish boy who'd never been west of the Mississippi, there was no choice. So I went to CSU, and the rest is history.